Vikram Deal, that was an amazing, amazing podcast with Cameron Gray of Gray Media. Anyone that is looking to create content for the real estate business needs to listen to this podcast. Vikram, what are some key takeaways for you?
I mean, I think that we should probably stop creating content. We should just stop talking about content in general. I think the agents that get it. The ones that don't, they don't. I just think content's stupid. Like, why are we even we should just cancel the podcast. We should stop our social media. We should, just stop making everything and just stop it all, because it's so dumb. Like, it's such a waste of time, right?
Whatever you say. This is a great intro to the podcast, but like, that's not exactly like, what are you actually thinking about this podcast?
I think there's some great tactical advice on how to start, right? I know so many agents that are doing $300,000-$400,000 a year, Cody. I just brought on a new client. She'll net more than what most agents gross, right? Her net. And she's like, Vic, I don't talk about gross, I talk about net. And I'm like, what is a goal for you in the next 6 months? And she's like, I want to be consistently posting one piece of content per day on social media. And I'm like, cool. Do you know which channel? She's like, I have no idea. And I'm like, no problem. Like, the goal is in 6 months, you're creating and posting one piece of content per day. She's like, yeah, I don't care how we do it. I'm like, don't worry about that. That's the goal. She's like, because I've been thinking about this for guess how many years?
Probably like 2-3 years.
5 years. 2018, she heard at a conference, you should post content if you're in real estate. And she was like, all right, I'm going to do it. And then she posts a little bit, and then she posts a picture of her puppy, and then doesn't post for 9 months, and then posts a couple pictures, posts pictures of her puppy, doesn't post for 6 months. And she's like, I was like, so would it be a win if we just post once a day and you build your brand? And she's like, oh my God, that'd be amazing. So like, the homework was just that. And like, Cameron just bangs it out of the ballpark, like what to do that isn't super like intimidating, and then how to do it. So that was a lot of takeaways. I was being facetious before. Hopefully you guys didn't tune us out. What did you take away? I mean, if you did, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, I really love the fact that he shared with us an app that you can that he created, that I think everyone should listen to the podcast in order to find that app, because I'm not telling you what that app is. You have to listen to the podcast, and it'll help you get more confident on camera. So you should listen to the podcast just to
I got a question. I got a question for you. So you run millions of dollars of ads every month for your clients.
Totally.
And you're in a completely different, like, Sheridan Street's in a completely different space. So is the Real Estate Sales Academy. Like, neither one of us sell, like, we help our clients with brand. But if you're running ads on, let's say, Facebook or Instagram or TikTok or wherever you guys run them for your clients, if you're running ads and your client actually does organic social media on top of your ads, what kind of what does that do for your client's ability to book appointments and convert clients in your expert opinion?
Well, like, it's like a part of it comes down to, if you have you can, number one, to answer your question, if you have a brand locally, when somebody calls on your behalf, you've already hit the 10, 15, 20 touch points it takes in order for somebody to make a buying decision. Because when they get that call from Vikram in Seattle, they're like, oh, I've heard that name before. So it's automatically there's already brand recognition. But the other elements of that is, like, you can retarget people with content. Like, we're constantly doing that. Like, I'm running video view ads right now for our agency, for Sheridan Street, of me speaking on stage at the NAREP event. I'm already running an ad from the 7-figure real estate leads and conversion training that you and I did, where it's like, somebody lands on my website, the first thing they're going to see in their Facebook feed, and it's like $1.41, $2 a day. You can run retargeting ads. Somebody lands on your website, somebody lands on your Facebook page. All of a sudden, they start seeing this value-added content in their feed. So it's a brand play. Like, ads can also be a brand play, and it doesn't have to cost you a crazy amount of money to get in front of people. But as far as, creating content, absolutely, it plays a massive portion into the brand equity that you create in the online space. Like, we get way more Instagram DMs now that we post twice a day, and we get people Googling us. Like, our Google metrics are up because we're posting content every single day. And I said to our team the other day, because we've been going really hard on not just creating content on Instagram, but also YouTube Shorts. We've been going hard on, and we've been going hard on blog posts. And now we're getting a lot. Like our traffic is up on, and our form fills on our website have increased because of more content. So it 100% plays into it, and Cam really does a great job at packing this in the podcast. So without further ado, Vikram, let's hop into the show. You're listening to the #1 real estate podcast in the world, where we talk with real estate professionals all across North America about their wins, losses, lessons, and stories, help you win in your local market today. My name is Cody from Sheridan Street. I'm joined with Vikram Deal of the Real Estate Sales Academy. Vikram, my man, what is happening? How you doing? How are things? How is life? How's business?
Business is good this week. Had to fire a person. Actually, no, I fired 2 people in the last 7 days, bro. Like,
man, you're on a firing and hiring spree. This is that's really exciting.
it is. Here's the thing that I always tell my private clients is that if you're not willing to let somebody go, you shouldn't ever bring somebody on. And there's just like your gut tells you, like, when you're hiring them, that this might be a risky move. Like, your gut will tell you, if you're intuitive, your gut will tell you, like, hey, be really on these people. And I'm here in Medellin right now. For those of you guys who don't know, Cody's actually in Medellin, about 3 blocks away. But I'm building a team out here because I like working with people. And so when I realized that I was going to live in Medellin, I'm only hiring people here, and I have like a big living room workspace bullpen that we work out of. And I immediately knew both of these guys were going to crawl under my skin. And if we were a bigger company like yours, Cody, where we had 50 or 60 people, it would be completely different because I wouldn't be managing them. But being like a small company of, I think, we're 6, 7, 8, I don't know, whatever we are right now, 6 people, like, I need to be really in tune with everybody because everybody still somewhat reports to me. Yeah. And so what I always tell my private clients, I'm like, yo, if you can't hire and fire, like, if you're scared to fire and you like the person, like, it's not that I dislike people. It's just, sometimes you got to let people go. So that's been the last week. And then this week I also got a couple colonics, a deep tissue massage, an ozone IV.
It's living the dream, eh? Like, you're living the Medellin dream, like, self-care.
It's what I did. It's what I do in America too, but it's cool that Medellin, that's one of the reasons why I like Medellin, is because they have all of those wellness services that I'm used to. And then I brought my hyperbaric chamber, my red light, my nano V. So I'm just biohacking the shit out of life right now. What are you up to, Mr. May, before we bring on Mr. Gray?
Yeah, I'm just hanging out in Medellin. Like, man, I'm just having a good time. Life is good. Things are good. Yeah. I'm excited that I'm not going to be on a plane for the next 30 days. Like, because I'm just like, it feels so nice. We were at the Next Home event a couple weeks ago, and that was just like took so much out of me. So I think it'll just be nice to kind of just chill out and to, just kind of put my head down for the next 30 days as we head into planning for Q2. We have our planning session for Q2. It's crazy that we're 3 months into 2023.
4 months, bro. We're done with this month. We may as well just wrap this one, wipe it up, and flush it down the toilet because it's gone.
It's gone. We're here. But today...
Wait, Cody, real quick. Did you buy a new shirt?
Just for you. I wanted to look nice. I wanted to look...
You guys should go check this out on YouTube, or maybe go follow us on Instagram. Cody's looking sexy. Lost 30 pounds, new shirt, new haircut. Like, just saying, guys, just saying.
Life is good. Things are good. No complaints. Things are good. But we have a very special guest today, somebody that I've known for the last couple of years. Somebody I've watched grow over the last couple of years, and it's been absolutely amazing. And originally I got connected to Cameron through Andrew Perry. Nice. Andrew, good friend of mine, and I've watched Cam grow in the media space, and he's done some really, really cool things. And he's created some really crazy videos. Amazing videographer, amazing content creator. So I'm really excited today to kind of shift gears more than anything. We've been interviewing a ton of real estate agents, and it's always fun when we get the opportunity to chat with like other vendors and other partners in this space and see kind of what they're doing in order to help real estate agents really build their brand in the local space. So we're going to talk about all things branding, all things content creation, all things marketing today to really help you win in your local market. Before we get to the topic at hand, Cameron, why don't you give us like kind of high level overview on like who you are, where you're at in the world, how long have you been serving real estate agents and teams, what you do, kind of give us a backstory on kind of like how you got to where you are today.
For sure. Yeah. So like right now I run a team. It's called Gray Media. We have a team of about 10 people. We have an overseas team who does all of our editing. And then we have a team locally here who does all the creation and the strategy of it. I got into content marketing, it must be like 15 years now ago. So basically I got into it with YouTube when I was a younger kid. I really, really loved the platform. I was making content videos with my brother. Hopefully nobody finds them. They were really, really cringy, but it really got me in the energy of like being on camera, being comfortable on camera. And I found it was something I really loved doing. So I did it for a couple of years, didn't really go anywhere with it. And then when I was 14, one of the people that I was doing content marketing with, or YouTube back in the day, switched into Grand Theft Auto and started playing some video games, and his channel blew up. He started getting 30, 40,000 views on some videos. And I was like, I got to do that. So I switched niches. I figured out targeting an audience, and I started creating Grand Theft Auto content, and I scaled that channel to over 80,000 subscribers. We were bringing in about 2 to 5 million views a month. And that was like my full-time job from 14 to 16. A little bit down the road, we got a cease and desist letter from the company because one of the things we were doing, we were teaching people how to exploit the video game, but it really taught me about YouTube, and it really taught me about targeting an audience and all of the search engines with it. After that, I got out of that, moved to San Francisco with a mentor of mine, and basically learned everything I needed to know about Facebook ads. We were doing drop shipping at the time, and it was a really, really interesting world to be in back in 2016. After I did that, I came back to Canada. My mentor was like, dude, why are you trying to learn e-commerce? Why are you trying to do all of this different stuff? Like, you're killing it in the video space. Because when I went there, the trade-off was I was going to shoot content for him. He flew me there for free. I lived with him. And in exchange, he taught me everything he knew about Facebook ads. So I came back to Canada, started working in-house for a real estate company, helped scale their business. And then I decided, wow, everybody needs this. And then I transitioned into starting Gray Media. 7 days into business, I found out my girlfriend was pregnant. That really held me accountable to scaling the business. And yeah, so my first ever shoot was at the Buzz conference, and we picked up a ton of clients there. I really realized the value of personal branding for realtors at that point. I didn't really know how many realtors there were, but then once I realized how many people liked the content, I started doing it, and I just started showing people exactly what I did. And I think the big thing with me is like, I don't keep anything hidden. I kind of like giving away all the value in my content. And then in exchange, through reciprocity, people just start hitting me up and sending me DMs. So like, that's kind of what I do. We have a team of 10 people now. It's quickly scaling. We have a podcast studio here in St. Catharines. We're opening up in Toronto by the summertime. And yeah, we're trying to become one of the bigger content partners and create a lot of work for all the creators out there who want to work in the creative space.
Dude, that's fucking awesome, bro.
Yeah, like it's always,
that was my full time. That was my full-time job. Was my life 14 to 16.
Yeah, no big deal. Cease and desist letter from Grand Theft Auto, no big deal. Oh yeah, I can imagine that would scare you, and like it's so interesting. Whenever we chatted with it was Andrew Undum. I don't know if you met him yet or not, but we had him on our podcast, and you always know when people create content, like, because they know how to effectively communicate their story, they know how to effectively storytell, and you did that really well in the course of a 3-minute window. So you've done this before. I want to start with, why should real estate agents consider creating content in a 2023 market? And what do you think holds people back from creating content? Because you're on the ground with a lot of these real estate agents, and it's like, I hear from agents all the time. It's like, I want to create content, but I'm just not sure. I'm not sure how to start. And we often hear from creators, like, you just have to start, but you actually help them get started and give them the processes and the systems in order to get in front of a camera, to feel more confident, more comfortable. Like, what are some of the advice that you would give to a real estate agent? And should they start, or should they look at a different platform? Like, what is some of your advice that when you're talking to real estate agents?
So the first thing that I like to talk about is, like, I work with a lot of top producers, people who've been in the business a while, and they see other people doing it and they want to get into this. So when I'm talking with these people, it's all about how much time do you have? And a lot of them are like, oh, I'm talking to clients all the time. The way that I look at social media is really different than most creators. I look at it as like saving my energy. So when I post to my social, I make one story post, I talk once, and then that video is seen 400, 500 times on social media throughout the day. So when you think about it, you can't call up 200 to 300 to 400 people in a day, but you can post a story every hour and connect with people. So what you're doing is you're making daily touch points. And a lot of people think that people are going to judge them because maybe you're judging somebody online. But what you got to realize is most people are going to actually look up to you. And a lot of people are going to call you and say, hey, I love what you're doing. I can't believe you're doing that. And the confidence will come with time. You'll see once your videos are starting to get traction and you're getting those calls, you kind of just forget about what you're looking like on content. And one of the fastest and easiest ways to get into it is just live streaming. Go live on Facebook, go live on your platforms, go live on Instagram, and just start talking to the camera. Personally, it's a little easier for me to talk to a camera. I'm actually better at talking to a camera than a person. So I grew up doing this, so it's really hard for people to make that mindset shift. But when you realize that only 1% of people are creating, and right away you can talk to so many more people in one day, I think anybody who wants to stay in business in the next couple of years, like, they're realizing they have to make a transition. I'm noticing, especially this year, before it was a lot of people who wanted to be content creators. A lot of my clients, when I was first starting, they were actors, they were in bands, they were musicians. So they were already entertainers. They knew how to be in front of a camera. They liked the attention. Now we're seeing it as a shift of, now I need to do this because my competitors are doing it. And if I'm not doing it, I'm going to get left behind. So the biggest thing is just hop on a live stream, get comfortable talking to other people, forget that the camera is even there, and just start doing it, basically.
So live streaming, bro, like that's scary shit, man. Like, Cameron, you're telling people who are fearful of the camera to go live, unscripted, unedited, real and raw. And that's scary. Cody and I have been on lives before, and it's scary. Like, I'm not gonna lie. Like, it's hard enough to make content, but it's scary to go live. So I love lives. Like, I started doing lives about 2 weeks ago. Again, I went off of it. And we've added like 150 or 200, maybe even 300 people on TikTok in the last couple of weeks just by going live, where we were kind of at like a stalemate with TikTok. And they're just like not really, our content's not popping there like it used to when we first started. What are your tips to go live? Like, I mean, it's one thing to say like, yeah, I'll grab a camera and just start talking to it and whatnot. But like, how would a not newer agent, but how would an agent new to content go live, unscripted, unedited, raw? Like, what are you telling your top clients right now?
So like, if you're going to hop on live, this is actually something that I picked up from Glenda Baker when I was in Dallas. She was saying like, when she was first getting in front of the camera, she was nervous. But then as soon as she went live, she realized that like all of those little mess ups, you couldn't really watch what you were saying. And once it was posted online afterwards, people are going to comment and they're going to see that natural you. So what I do when I go live is I just like to talk my mind. Like, I'm only going to go live if I have something to say. So if you have a good thought, you want to call your clients, like, write those notes down, write questions that your clients are asking you all of the time. And then you're going to be able to build a database through going live. Like, don't think that you have to be perfect every word that comes out of your mouth. Like, you could screw something up. Nobody's going to remember it. Nobody's perfect. So like, that's the biggest thing is like, maybe hop on a Zoom call and just communicate with somebody who else is that's in the industry or that can provide value to the friends that you have on Facebook or on any of your platforms.
When it comes to content creation, I love the fact that you brought up Glenda Baker. She's a good friend of both of ours. And she's a great model for somebody that has just like absolutely blown up on social media, getting like, now deals and like locally, like she's like a celebrity, which is like, and she's phenomenal, but not everyone can be Glenda. And that's where I think a lot of people like struggle with real estate, like creating social media content is like, well, Glenda already has 700,000 followers, but she didn't always have 700,000 followers. Like, she grew into that. And if you look at a lot of her old content, she'd probably say the same, like, it was cringeworthy. I know, looking back at the content that I created in 2016 or 2015, I'm like, don't find that, please, for the love of God, don't find that content, because I was not eloquent on camera. The audio sucked, and yeah, it was totally different. But like, what would be your advice for an agent that is like just starting out on social media? Like, what platform do you think is kind of the best platform for them to, I guess, beta test on? Like, where should they, like, should it be long form content on YouTube? Should it be TikTok? Should it be Instagram? Should it be Facebook Reels? Like, there should be LinkedIn. Like, what are you telling your real estate agents? when it comes to creating content? And is it always video, or can it be written? How do you identify what you're good at?
So like what I find is like most people don't set up a strategy before they even start. So like one thing is you're going to start creating all of this content. It's something that I did with Gray Media. So I started creating content and then I started getting traffic from so many different types of people. So you can start talking to the camera and start recording things just to get comfortable on camera. But what I like to do before I even start is I look at who are my avatars, who am I trying to target, who is my perfect client, and then what sort of questions are they asking me on a regular basis? Because if you can start adding value to these types of people on social, you're going to get more people following you in that area. So what I do is I do a deep dive on the strategy of, okay, who am I trying to target with this content? What is their age demographic? Where are these people located? Like for example, TikTok is a much younger demographic. It's very hard to target the older demographic on there. There are people on there watching it, but like Facebook Reels is blowing up right now between that 50 and 70-year-old space. So if you hopped on Facebook right now and you were going for downsizers or you were looking for people who are trying to move up, Facebook is definitely a place to be. But if you can film just vertical content, I find it's the best use of time. What I like to tell people is if you've never created videos before, record yourself doing something you regularly do, typing on your laptop, just set up your camera and let it record. Don't create, just document at the start. Start documenting what you do on a daily basis so that people see that you're not just walking into fancy houses all day long. If you're in the real estate space, like people think of realtors as like, oh, these bad people that just make so much money, but like they don't see what happens behind the scenes. They don't see all the paperwork. They don't see all the negotiations. So if you can record a lot of that stuff, you're going to realize that like, wow, like this isn't as hard as you would have thought it was. And then you can start taking trending audios, adding it over top, adding some transcription on that. You're going to start picking up audience just based on other celebrities. It's basically playing the viral effect of using a good speaker, recording you doing what you're doing and putting captions over top, and people will like that stuff. People will click into your page. Don't only focus on doing that because there's no value being added to the client. So you're going to get a lot of followers from all around the world. But what I suggest to people is just like really figure out first what your goal is with social. Is it to get more business? Is it just brand awareness? And then start working backwards on, okay, what sort of things am I educating people on a buyer or a seller's console? Because people are already building in a funnel. They're just at the end of the funnel, so they don't know everything else. So if they look at who they've serviced already and they work backwards, they can start setting up a strategy and then they can start executing. So the biggest thing with content marketing is record it in a batch. What I like to do, if you're going to be doing talking head content, record it in a documentary style. Have somebody ask you questions. Make sure that you have a good hook. Make sure you have a good call to action, and then just record a ton and send it off to an editor to have them produce it.
So when I talk to clients, and I know that's an excuse that they use, but when I talk to clients, and Cody and I have jammed about this before, I believe content is part of your strategy to build trust, rapport, and influence, right? And if you don't have a brand, you don't have, you don't have content, right? So if you're not building a brand, you're not able to actually have any type of rapport with your clients. And this is something that Steve Olson also shared with us, is that people don't know you anymore if you're not doing video. And so when a client comes to you and they're asking you questions and they're like, hey, I know we got to do content, but blah, 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 blah. There's already a dominant agent in my marketplace. There's already 5 big agents creating content. Where do I fit in? Like, how do I fit into that paradigm when I'm the newer agent creating content? Maybe they have a lot of experience, and I know a lot of experienced agents who don't do this, but where in the paradigm can they fit in? And how do you talk to like that agent who's really scared to make content? I think a lot of this just stems from fear, but they're like, well, the excuse they're using is, well, we're not the dominant online agent.
I think the one thing that everybody has to realize is you are a real estate agent. You're thinking about real estate every day. Most people, the majority of the world, don't think about real estate. They only think about it when they're buying and selling. So a lot of just your prospective clients are maybe following one realtor online that's maybe posting just listed, just sold. So remember that who you're watching isn't the same as the people who are watching you. And then look at the audience that you already have. You probably already have 300, 400, 500 friends on Facebook, maybe 200 or 300 followers on Instagram. Find out what you're passionate about, because you don't want to create content that you're already dreading. So don't start with the real estate stuff. Don't start by adding value to your Instagram. Start figuring out what you're most passionate about. Figure out what your biggest talent is and start creating content around that. Like people want to, like in real estate, you're touring homes with people. People want to be with like-minded people. So what I like to say is maybe you're really good at a sport. Focus on that. Maybe you're also a gym instructor on the side. Start creating gym content so that people can see that you're not just this realtor. And maybe that stuff's a lot easier to be documenting. So start really asking the question to your prospective clients, like, what are you watching online? What sort of things do you have interest in? Because you don't have to be creating real estate content. Like I know a realtor who's killing it right now, just making funny comedy skits online that isn't really real estate related, but when people click into his page, they're like, what does this guy do? It creates that curiosity. And then when they go into his page, they're like, oh, this guy's a realtor. Like this would be a fun person to go on showings with. So it's really changing that mindset shift of like, you're just trying to create traffic for yourself and to get attention. If you can get 200, 300, 400 people watching you every day, not everybody's buying and selling right now. So unless you're providing value and maybe you're like an investment focused realtor, you can help strategize and help push people into buying, but you're really just trying to be seen every single day so that when anybody asks a client or whenever somebody wants to buy or sell, like they're going to think of you first. That's the biggest thing, is just posting daily, posting regularly, and it doesn't have to be about real estate. It could be about whatever you're most passionate about, because you'll burn out if you're doing something you don't like.
I love that. And it's so interesting that you say that, because I 100% agree. Like you will burn out if you are posting about things that aren't true to you. And it's really funny. Like we really changed a lot of our content game recently, where before, like my team was coming up with some of the concepts, and they weren't not all the concepts were coming from my head. They were ideas, and I would watch a video and they'd be like, react to it. And I'm like, I don't want to react to this video. So it's like, I think it's important once you get going with content that you are true to you. Like you are true to like telling stories that ignite you. Like I find it really funny talking about dating things, because I just find that stuff funny. So like, you know, I like, you know, and I think that Vikram brought that out of me, because like he was posting content about that. I'm like, that's actually funny. I want to talk about, you know, how soulmates don't exist, and I want people to get mad. It's funny. But how do you help realtors discover what they like to talk about? And then how do you help them get better on camera? Because I've seen a lot of the people that you work with over the last couple of years, over time, they're way better on camera now, and they're way more eloquent, and they can talk way more freely than they did 2 years ago. Was that a time thing, or was it like, is it a time thing? Is it, you know, you're able to help coach them through what to say, how to say it? Like what, maybe walk us through some of the guys like Andrew Perry, or like some of the guys that you worked with for the last couple of years. They're just way better on camera now. Is it a time thing, or is there something that you're helping them find their
mix? It's a little mix of time and then also getting them warmed up. So what a lot of people don't realize is like, when you're creating content, if you enjoy creating content with the person you're creating content with, like you forget about the camera. So like the best thing to do is find a creator that is there not just to make money. Find the creator that's there to help you build your social, because now you're just hanging out with them. Usually the first 20, 30 to an hour of a shoot with Gray Media, we don't use that content because it's so uncomfortable. When I'm really first starting with it, I'd like to say new agents, I like to interview them. I like to pick their brain. I before we even start creating content, we whiteboard on the whiteboard, we hang out for a bit, and I figure out what it is they like talking about. And then once they realize like, wow, like the energy input portion of it, they get comfortable with me. And then like when I'm interviewing them, they forget that the camera's there. And then once they're comfortable talking to me and they're excited, we'll get them starting to talk to the camera, and they'll be a lot more natural with that. That's the way that I like to do it. So maybe hang out with a friend who you're comfortable with. I know a lot of other people who do other things that we can't really talk about, but the biggest thing.
Wait, what do you mean that we can't talk about it? I think we should talk about it.
Some people will take a shot or two before they start, just to get comfortable and relaxed, and so that they're in that moment. Like the biggest thing I like to mention to people on their first shoot is like, you have to act and you have to treat that camera like it's one of your buddies from high school and you're at a party, nobody can hear you. The camera really dumbs that stuff down and makes it very bland. So you have to over exaggerate everything. A lot of the bigger creators, with all of the messages and with all of the when you're adding value to people and people start calling you and they talk about how much they love your stuff, you start figuring out what works, and you just refine. You basically build a plan, execute on it, refine that plan, and just work your way forward. And just find people you enjoy creating content with, because that's who will keep you going with it. And if you position yourself so that you're thinking of content as just a layer in your business, and that you know you're going to be creating content in 10 years, it's going to get better with time. Like, I would show you a video of me in 2008. I was like 10 years old, and like that content versus my content now, it's cringy. It's so bad. But like, well, looking back at it, you'll see the progress, and that confidence will come with time.
Dude, I love it. And, Cody always says, Vic, you can't go talk to the girl you really want to talk to at the bar. He's like, you got to go warm up with the girl you don't like. So I totally understand the warm up game. I mean, Cody's taught me a lot about dating in the last couple of months that we've lived together. He's a good guy. I mean, dude, not everybody can be as suave as you, my friend. So Cameron, I got a tactical question, as Cody would call it. Where do you just like, okay, so you got your iPhone out, right? Like, do you look at the front camera or do you look at the back camera? First question. I'm gonna rapid fire a couple of questions. Do you look at the front camera or the back camera?
So the back camera has the best quality camera on that phone. So the biggest thing is, if you are using an iPhone and you're going to be using an editor, first go through your settings and you have to disable the most compatible version, because an iPhone is set up to only be edited on an iPhone. So unless you're using CapCut or something like that, the video is not going to come out in the right colors. You'll export the video, and the video editor will export the video and it'll come out in a different color. But I find if you're talking to the back of the camera and you're not seeing yourself, you forget it's there, and you just stare into that lens and you talk to it like it's a person. And much like public speaking, like, you just have to forget that it's there and just talk to yourself in your head.
So we look at the back camera, right? And we look into the lens. We don't look. So when we're looking, like, Cody's really good at this. I struggle. So when you look at the lens, I'm actually doing it right now. So you look at the lens and you stare at the lens. Do you move your eyes? Do you move around? Do you like look at other things? Like, or do you just stare at the lens like you're deeply staring into the eyes of the loved one that you're at? I'm literally staring at the lens right now. It's mighty uncomfortable.
Yeah, it's definitely very uncomfortable. Like right now, I'm using a secondary camera, so I can't see you guys. But for the viewer, it's going to feel like you're talking directly to them. So it's going to feel like it's a one-on-one conversation. As soon as you look away, they notice that it's a video, and it breaks that wall. So it's a little bit of an uncomfortable thing to start with. But if you can get good at it, you'll feel like you're having a one-on-one conversation with a person.
So the stare at the lens the entire time you're doing your video.
Stare. Me too. I'm staring into Cameron's soul right now. My camera's off, like my screen's off to the left, my camera's straight ahead. You know, it's you got to stare into the soul every once in a while. Cam, if you were to give one piece of advice to a real estate agent there, kind of wrapping up here, you give one piece of advice for 2023 that a real estate agent needs to consider around content creation. The one thing that you're telling all of your top clients, they're like, hey, you got to watch for this thing. What is that one thing?
Focus on creating vertical content and blasting it across all platforms. Like, use a project management tool and build a team for this. It's much, much cheaper. Your time is very, very valuable. So value your time at a specific hourly rate, and then realize, okay, what can I outsource? Outsource the shooting, outsource the editing, and then have somebody who's actually going to post on every single platform for you. And once you set it up as a system in your business, it's now just a workday. You show up once a month to shoot for 4 hours, and the team takes that all off of your hands. And with one massive thing that I'm telling everybody is, people like Alex Hermosi are guys who are spending millions and millions of dollars a year, a month really, on Facebook ads. And these guys have made that shift to creating organic content, because once you own the audience, it's yours. So don't spend all of your money on marketing outside of that space, and try to really invest it into long-term evergreen content, because these videos will work and they'll stack and stack. Like, I have people who still watch my videos from 3 to 4 years ago. Focus on creating evergreen content. I would say shoot it in a podcast, long form to start, and then you can actually slip up and break out parts from that. And basically in the content calendar, you want to think, where's this clip going to resonate? 'Cause like TikTok's a little bit more of an entertainment platform. You got to remember, Instagram, you're going to get a lot of like agent to agent referrals. Facebook, you have a lot of consumers on there. LinkedIn, you got a lot of business professionals. YouTube is a search engine, so people are looking things up on there. And just think like a consumer when you're creating this content.
I absolutely love that. Yeah, go ahead, Vic.
No, I got to say one thing. my top clients, my stickiest clients, the ones that trust me the most are the ones that have been following me for 2, 3. Some are pretty quick, right? Some are at the gate. It's like, hey, I liked you. I resonated with you. You're brown. I'm brown. Let's work together. Others are just like, I've been following you for 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, like 2 years. And I've seen your progression and I want that in my life. And these people, you guys, you get them on the phone. They don't shop around. They trust you. They stick with you. They pay you. They don't negotiate your commissions. It's like, hey, I charge this amount. They're like, great, here's my credit card.
It's not a sales call. It's a soft close because they want to be friends. It's almost like you're becoming an influencer. And what you have to realize is you might watch one influencer online, but you're going to become that influencer for other people. You're going to become that Alex Hormozi or that Gary Vee for your consumer because they're not consuming content right now.
And the last thing is that, I know Cody wants to jump here, but the last thing is that you guys, you don't need to have 1 million followers, right? Like some of our content that does the best with the consumer is the one that talks directly to the consumer. And it might only have 150 views, but like 3 people will reach out to your DMs and be like, yo, that hit home. Can we get on a call if you have time? And you're like, I'm in sales. Of course I have time to talk to you. It's what we do. But they will reach out to you in such a different method. And it could be the video that you have the least amount of views on. So don't think you need to be a millionaire and a billionaire with views and like an influencer with a blue check and all that crap.
Yeah, amazing advice, Cameron. Like so much value today for anyone listening back to the podcast. I want to say thank you. If somebody want to reach out to you, want to learn a little bit more about what you do around content creation or coaching around video content, where's the best place that they can follow you?
So the best place to follow us is actually _Gray Media on Instagram. That's where I post all of my content. We're also just launching our new app, Agent Pro. It's actually free right now on the App Store. It's got a lot of training content on there. We're actually building out how to get comfortable on camera. So that's a great place for you to go to learn how to get comfortable. And there's a lot more training content on that library.
Cam, want to say thank you. Always great chatting with you. Thank you for all the tips. I know that everyone listening back to this podcast is going to get a ton of value. And I want to say thank you for tuning into another episode of the RE Agent Podcast. We'll see you soon.